All right, Paul, appreciate that. Now, while the president and Mitt Romney are getting ready for the debates, First Lady Michelle Obama is speaking out on voting rights. She spoke at the Congressional Black Caucus Gala last night about the importance of protecting the right to vote.
We all get a say in our democracy, no matter who we are or where we're from or what we look like, or who we love. So we cannot let anyone discourage us from casting our ballots. We cannot let anyone make us feel unwelcome in the voting booth.
Now, the First Lady didn't specifically refer to it, but there is an election battle brewing right now over Americans' access to the voting booth. A lot of states have passed laws that many people say could make it harder to vote. Those laws could be game changers come November. Joe John shows us how.
In the past 2 years, almost every state in the country has introduced or passed some type of change or restriction to the voting laws. 41 out of the 50 states since the last midterm election. We're talking about all kinds of changes to the voting laws here for early voting, for voter registration, for absentee ballots. And some of the most controversial changes of all are to laws requiring voters to show photo identification. 11 states have already gotten photo ID laws in place. Another 6 states have photo ID laws that have now been challenged in the courts and are under review. This is going on mostly in Republican-controlled states. We have to say here, again and again, polling shows voter ID laws are very popular. They make sense to people. Republicans who tend to support these laws say they're needed to avoid voter fraud. But in previous elections and in the primaries this year, we've not seen a significant number of people charged with voter fraud. Democrats who are fighting these laws from state to state say it doesn't have anything to do with fraud. They say it's just a plan to try to keep voters, and especially minority voters, including blacks and Latinos, away from the polls on Election Day. As you might imagine, some of the biggest battles over these laws are being waged in some of the most important battleground states, namely Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Florida, where many people think the presidential election could be decided if it's a close race. The battle is over early voting in Ohio. The Obama campaign is fighting it out in appeals court with Ohio's Republican Secretary of State over whether all voters will be allowed to go to the polls on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday before Election Day. In Pennsylvania, we're waiting for a state judge to reconsider a ruling he made allowing a voter ID law to stay in place. The state Supreme Court told him he had to make sure there's enough time for voters to get IDs. And in Florida, it's been a bruising battle over voting rights for the better part of the year. Democrats have won a few parts of this. Republicans have as well. Now it's coming down to a lawsuit filed by Democratic Congresswoman Corrine Brown over how many hours polls will be open for early voting. And why is all of this important? Well, it's about electoral votes. Ohio has 18, Pennsylvania has 20, and Florida has 29. The candidate who wins or loses these states has a leg up in the race for the White House. Back to you.
Yes, that is key, Joe. Appreciate that. And if you would like to see more on the legal battle over voting rights in Florida, Joe Johns has an hour-long documentary premiering next month. Tune in to Who Counts on Sunday, October 14th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time.